Welcome back to The Vision, the place where we dive into the culture of America and politics and see what a vision of the future might look like and what our vision of the future should be. I'm your host, Kawan Warfield. Today we're talking about the bill that passed through Congress today, the Born Alive bill passed by a Republican that will require care for infant born alive after failed abortions. I think it passed 220 to 210. And obviously this is a great news, and hopefully this passes further on. I'm not sure if it will, but hopefully it does. But what really concerns me, and I'm not really surprised about it, but that 210 people vote against it. I know that these bills oftentimes are not single issue bills, but it's very, very clear that Democrats are pro killing babies. And I'm not even going to say abortion anymore. They are pro killing babies. And to think that stops in the womb is also untrue. They are also okay with, in this case, babies that are born alive and then left to die. And this troubles me because we as a society no longer have a good grasp on what life is. We no longer have a good concern about what life is worth. And whenever we brought this up, the idea that they'd be killing babies outside the womb, that they would be letting babies die that were born. The pro baby killers, the pro abortionists, they called us kind of crazy because we're idiots. We're stupid for saying that. That would never happen. We're just twisting the point and we're making up lies. But as we've seen, that is something that is happening. There are doctors who are performing these kind of procedures where they're letting babies actually die. And we argue about these little details of, does it have a fingernail? Does it have hands? Does it heartbeat? Does it have a brain? Does it have this and the other? Is it this week's old? 8 months? 6 months? We do all this like weird like backbending to try to find these little minute points. And at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything because they just don't respect life. Of course, we know that life starts at conception. That's the fact. We know this. All evidence shows this to be the case. But to these people, being alive is not enough to be alive. And in today's political climate, we see this furthermore, that people who disagree with you politically are oftentimes not considered alive. If you do not agree with their socialist BLM, a liberal leftist agenda, you might as well be dirt on the street. We see people wishing other people death and not caring when people die and celebrating people's death because they view them as trash, as less than people, as less than human. And the reason why they use these terms like racist, like homophobic, like anti-Semite, like Hitler, and all these different terms for you, is so that they can be allowed to treat you like trash. Those words have lost almost all meaning because people who are supporting this kind of behavior of killing babies, they need a way to label you so that they can feel no guilt when they treat you as not a person. You can be a full-fledged adult, walking, talking, whatever. And because you have the wrong ideologies, they will not see you as alive. They will just see you as the enemy. And unfortunately right now, we're in a place of society where the new enemy is babies. The left oftentimes consider themselves as atheists or non-religious or following the science and all that junk. Yet, they do hold religious beliefs. They do have their altars and their tithing, and they have their rituals, and they pray, and they do other different things to this altar of liberalism. And beyond the obvious satanic demonic stuff, we can kind of, that's very obvious, that's very clear. At the top of their little pedestal, they idolize themselves. They believe themselves to be gods, that they can change reality to whatever they want it to be, that they can identify as whatever they want it to be. If they want to be a dog that day, or a woman, a man, a little boy, what have you. They truly believe that they have the power to choose their own reality. And whenever you have religion, there's something to be sacrificed. And what are they sacrificing? They're sacrificing their children. It's not anything in their life. It's their children who's stopping them from realizing the true power and the true goals. Oh yeah. In order for me to have choice, I need to kill my children. That's the only way they want me to have my own free will and my own choice. And they have become so twisted and so self-involved and so distracted by their own self-worth and ideas that they're willing to give up literal babies for it. Literal babies. And this is not new. This is obviously not new. The child sacrifice is nothing. It's gone on for thousands of years. Even the Lord, our God, he warns the Israelites about it in Leviticus. Leviticus 18:21. Do not permit any of your children to be offered as a sacrifice to Molech, for you must not bring shame on the name of your God. I am the Lord. People think, oh, we're not sacrificing to Moloch, yes, you silly Christians, whatever. Like, you are murdering your children to satisfy your God. We can call him Moloch, we can call it whoever we want, we call it the devil, we call it Satan. You guys are letting demonic and satanic rituals infiltrate your hearts in our society. You are sacrificing literal, actual babies to the altar. You can call it a fetus. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But the truth of the matter is that you are sacrificing babies. And right now, I call this too. The idea that we will be killing babies that are born. Yeah, obviously. If you killing babies in the womb, there's obviously no end you would stop. I am of the belief that within 5, 10, 15 years, that you could abort your baby of 5 years. You could have a whole 5-year-old and there be people saying, yes, you should abort that baby. We went from destroying the household, replacing fathers with government, with legalizing same-sex marriage, to aborting millions and millions and millions of babies in the womb, to murdering babies that have been born, that have come out of the birth canal. It used to be, the birth canal gives you personhood. No, not anymore. Not anymore. It's now fully subjective. Someone else gets to decide if you get to live or die. Life doesn't mean anything anymore to these people. To them, they are their own gods and they get to decide who gets to live or die. They get to decide who has rights. The left pretends to care about women. Feminist movement pretends to care about women, to want to give them a choice. But there is no choice except for what they want you to do. You don't get to choose anymore. You have to kill your baby. If you ever seen a lady talking, who's not a part of the feminist movement, talking to someone who is in the feminist movement, you will see this to be true. Women don't get to have a choice. They have to be a part of the feminist movement. And if you're not, you are not a real woman. There's a famous discussion between a famous feminist a while back. I think it's Simone Beauvoir. I think's her name. I think you say that properly. They asked her, should women have the choice to stay at home instead of working? And she said no. Because if they have the choice, they will stay home. We must force them out into the workplace. Feminists do not believe in choice. The left does not believe in choice. They put you in a corner and they say, hey, do you want this choice? Do you want to get to choose? You are pro-choice. But there is no choice. It's whatever they want you to do, and they want you to sacrifice to their God. They want you to sacrifice your children and sacrifice whatever else to their God. They want you to submit to their ideology and to their religion. And if you don't, you are not a real person. You are not a real man. You are not a real woman. You are not alive. You are the enemy. So unless things change, unless we do something, unless we continue to see more pushback against this pro-murder movement, we will see more and more death. We'll see older and older kids being killed, being neglected, being fatherless, being motherless. They say it's for their children. They say it's for their mothers. But it's for their own sick, twisted agenda. They claim that any life of hardship is evil. That if you're going to live a tough life, then you're better off dead. Margaret Sanger, the creator of Planned Parenthood, was a avid racist. Went to Ku Klux Klan rallies. Hated black people. Hated the poor. And wanted to sterilize basically the entire community. And here we are years later, sacrificing millions of black babies to her little altar of choice she made, quote unquote. The government and this lady has convinced millions of people to kill their children. There are more black babies killed in New York than there were born in many years. Yet, anybody who speaks up against that is a racist, Uncle Tom, a house Negro, you name it, a coon. They have tricked us all into thinking that by us, they teach all the thinking that our only rights, basically, are to do whatever we want personally, damn to all the consequences of everybody else, and to kill babies. That our most important right is not freedom of speech, is not right to defend yourself, but it's to kill our children. I don't know. I want to say that the future looks bright. This, of course, the House bill passing, that brings me joy and confidence a little bit. But it's going to take a lot of serious action to reverse course from this moment. If we're at the point that we're letting babies die, like actual doctors, people who took an oath, are letting babies sit there and die, it's hard to say that there's a silver lining somewhere. My vision of the future that I hope for is that we ban all abortion clinics. That is absolutely illegal. That every baby born gets to live. That every baby that is in the womb gets to live. There is a plan B. My vision is that we as a community take control of the situation. That we love each other. That if a mom happens to become single due to some unforeseen circumstances, it's no longer the government stepping in and trying to help its community, its family, it's the neighbors, it's the church. And many communities do this already. Many communities do this. Yet we have been lied to think that we can trust the government to do it for us. That hey, if you're a single mom, you can't do it. Kill your baby. Funny how women empowerment looks like telling a woman that she can't take care of her own child. That's not true. That's not the case. My vision is a vision where the man sticks around. That if you get somebody pregnant by some happenstance because you weren't waiting until marriage, that the man steps up, that the woman steps up. That marriage isn't some piece of paper anymore that you can just rip up and throw it away at any given moment. That it's a really, really big deal that people take seriously. That it's a binding commitment between you, your spouse, and God. Not just some government contract. And yes, of course, some kids will have hard lives. Some kids might end up in the foster care system. And guess what? My vision is that we help those kids as well. By killing kids, that's not helping anybody. That's not helping the kid. That is not helping the mother. It used to be this idea that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. Can't be safe. They can't be safe because, you know why? You're killing a baby. If it's a good thing, then why is it rare? And that's where we are right now. Where they realized that if it's a pro-woman thing, then it should be rare. So why shouldn't everybody be getting abortions all the time, everywhere? We have let the government and other forces split up our families, and now they have tricked us into killing our children. The building block of this society, of this country, is not the individual. It is the family. Without the family, we cannibalize ourselves. And you see this right now. We are destroying each other. If we are at a point in our society where, literally speaking, the most fundamental connection you could have, a mother and a child, even if that is broken, if that right now is broken and women and mothers are being pushed and forced and convinced and lied to kill their children, I don't know I just don't know where we go from this. But my hopes is that we actually stand up, that we actually start making laws like this, where we actually start banning abortions, where we actually start fighting back and pushing back and say, hey, listen, we are not going to wait for everybody else to realize what's going on. We are not going to wait for everybody to come to their senses. We are going to do what's right now. During the Civil War, they could have waited for everybody in the country to finally agree that slavery is wrong. But no, they demanded the people to be free. They fought a war over it. People died for this. Because life is important. Some arbitrary choice you want to make is not important. Life is important. The illusion that you are gaining back your freedom is not important. Actual freedom is important. And not just freedom to do whatever you want. Not just freedom to go snoop and have sex with everybody and kill babies and do all that stuff and do drugs and heroin and what have you and just live life how you want to live. No. Responsible freedom. Liberty. What we used to define as liberty. Being doing what you ought to be doing. Taking care of your family, taking care of your wife, taking care of your children, not killing your children, not killing them after they're born. Things that used to be basic. Things that we grew from back in the past. Like I said, things that we evolved from doing. Here we are now, in today's age, a civilized society, a first world country, murdering more babies than almost every other country combined. Almost every other country has way more strict abortion laws than we do as America. Way more. Our abortion laws are criminal compared to the rest of the world. And a country that does not value life is barely a country. I love America. I love what it stood for. I love what it could be. I love it despite the awful things that we do sometimes. And my hope is that the country that I love comes out of this period. That we figure out what's going on. That we've been together and say, hey, we actually have a responsibility to one another, to each other. I don't know. I don't have answers. I don't know. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's the time of Revelation in the Bible, where things are like times of Noah and the world is complete darkness and Jesus comes back. I don't know. No man knows day or the hour. I hope there's more time so people can figure out their evil deeds and repent and change. But so far, it looks like everything is just getting worse and worse and worse by the decade. But I'm still holding out hope. People who voted for this bill, people who are pushing this kind of stuff, inspire me each and every day. So anybody out there who feel very, 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 very passionate about this kind of stuff, keep pushing, keep fighting. This is really, really important. And freedom isn't just given sometimes, usually not, it's fought for. It's bled for. And to everybody else who thinks this is an attack on your choice, who's so afraid of the government taking away your rights, you probably won't listen to me. It's okay. You probably just revert back into yourself and kind of remind yourself of all the things that you've been told, and you call me crazy or sexist or what have you, or just ignore me. But I want you guys to really think about it. To sit there with the thought of knowing that we as a society are killing babies by the thousands, by the millions over certain periods of time. That your brothers, that your sisters, that your own children, that your mothers, your fathers, that at certain points in our lives, there's a choice of whether or not they could have been here or not. There's a chance that I couldn't have been here. I wouldn't have been here. That my mother could have said, "You know what? I have the right and choice, and and she could have stumped out my entire life. All the sports I did, the schooling I went to, snuffed out my relationship with my brother and my friends and my fiance, and I would have never got married." When we support the killing of these babies, we are not just destroying a pound of flesh. It's not just some carcass that's thrown away. You are destroying an entire life that could have been led. There are over 60 million people who are not here because they died during abortions. Over 60 million people who could have been in this world who are not, because we chose to kill them. 60 million people who could have been teachers, doctors, preachers, who could have had their own children, who could have been mothers, grandparents, fathers. It's easy to be self-involved and to think about yourself. But there is much greater value in serving those around us. So with that, I want to say thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. God bless you all. Have a nice day.